Bible in a Year Live, Chronological Project, Week 29, Day 5, Common English Bible. I have heard the taunting of Moab and the defamation of the Ammonites. They taunt my people and enlarge their borders. Therefore, as I live, says the Lord of heavenly forces, the God of Israel, Moab will become like Sodom, and the Ammonites like Gomorrah, a plot of weeds, salt pits, and devastation forever. The few remaining from my people will plunder them. The rest of my nation will possess them. This will happen on account of their pride, because they taunted and boasted over the people of the Lord of the heavenly forces. The Lord will terrify them. He will make all the gods of the earth disappear. All the coastlands of the nations will bow down to the Lord, each one in its own place. Moreover, you too, Cushites, will be pierced by my sword. He will stretch out his hand against the north, and will cause Assyria to perish. Let him make Nineveh a desolation, a desolate place like the wilderness. Flocks will lie down in their midst, every living thing of the nation. Moreover, the owl and the porcupine will spend the night on its columns. A bird's call will resound from the window. Desolation will be on the sill, for the cedar will be stripped bare. This is a jubilant city, the one dwelling securely, the one saying in her heart, I and no one else will endure forever. How she has become a desolation, a resting place for the wild animals. All those who pass through her hiss and shake their fists. Judgment against Jerusalem. Doom, obstinate one, the defiled one, the violent city. She listened to no voice. She accepted no discipline. She didn't trust in the Lord, nor did she draw near to her God. The princes in her midst are roaring lions. Her judges are wolves of the evening. They leave nothing for the morning. Her prophets are reckless, men of treachery. Her priests pollute that which is holy. They do violence to the instruction. The Lord is righteous in her midst. He does nothing unjust. Morning by morning he renders justice, but the unrighteous one knows no shame. I will cut off nations. Their towers will be destroyed. I will devastate their streets. No one will pass through. Their cities will be laid waste. There will be no person, no inhabitant left. I said, surely she will fear me. She will take instruction so that her habitation won't be cut off because of everything I did to her. However, they rose early to corrupt their deeds. Therefore, wait for me, says the Lord. Wait for the day when I rise up as a witness, when I decide to gather nations, to collect kingdoms, to pour out my indignation upon them, all the heat of my anger. In the fire of my jealousy, all the earth will be devoured. Restoration of the nations and Jerusalem. Then I will change the speech of the peoples in pure speech, that all of them will call on the name of the Lord and will serve him as one. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my daughter, my dispersed ones, will bring me offerings. On that day you won't be ashamed of all your deeds with which you sinned against me. Then I will remove from your midst those boasting with pride. No longer will you be haughty on my holy mountain, but I will cause a humble and powerless people to remain in your midst. They will seek refuge in the name of the Lord. The few remaining from Israel won't commit injustice. They won't tell lies. A deceitful tongue won't be found on their lips. They will graze and lie down. No one will make them afraid. Rejoice, daughter Zion. Shout, Israel. Rejoice and exult with all your heart, daughter Jerusalem. The Lord has removed your judgment. He has turned away your enemy. The Lord, the King of Israel, is in your midst. You will no longer fear evil. On that day it will be said to Jerusalem, don't fear, Zion. Don't let your hands fall. The Lord your God is in your midst, a warrior bringing victory. He will create calm with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. I will remove from you those worried about the appointed feasts. They have been a burden for her, a reproach. Watch what I am about to do to all your oppressors at that time. I will deliver the lame. I will gather the outcast. I will change their shame into praise and fame throughout the earth. At that time, I will bring all of you back, at the time when I gather you. I will give you fame and praise among all the neighboring peoples when I restore your possessions, and you can see them, says the Lord. Josiah's death. After all these things, when Josiah had finished restoring the temple, Egypt's king Necho marched against Carchemish by the Euphrates, and Josiah marched out against him. But Necho sent messengers to Josiah. "What do you want with me, king of Judah?" he asked. "I haven't come to attack you today. I'm after the dynasty that wars with me. God told me to hurry, and he is on my side. Get out of God's way, or he will destroy you." But Josiah wouldn't turn back. Instead, he camouflaged himself in preparation for battle, refusing to listen to Necho's words from God's own mouth, and went to fight Necho on the plain of Megiddo. When archers shot King Josiah, he said to his servants, "Take me away, I'm badly wounded." So his servants took him out of his chariot, placed him in another one, and brought him to Jerusalem, where he died and was buried in the tombs of his ancestors. All Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Josiah. Jeremiah composed a funeral song for Josiah, and to this day, every singer, man or woman, continues to remember Josiah in their funeral songs. They are now traditional in Israel and are written down among the funeral songs. The rest of Josiah's deeds, including his faithfulness in acting according to what is written in the Lord's instruction, and everything else he did, from beginning to end, are written in the official records of Israel's and Judah's kings. In his days, the Egyptian king Pharaoh Necho marched against the Assyrian king at the Euphrates River. King Josiah marched out to intercept him, but when Necho encountered Josiah at Megiddo, he killed the king. Josiah's servants took his body from Megiddo in a chariot. They brought him to Jerusalem and buried him in his own tomb. The people of the land took Jehoahaz, Josiah's son, anointed him, and made him king after his father. Prophecy against Philistia. The Lord's word to the prophet Jeremiah concerning the Philistines before Pharaoh conquered Gaza. The Lord proclaims, "Waters are rising from the north and turning into a raging flood. They will engulf the land and everything in it, the towns and those living in them. The people cry out, all who live there scream. At the pounding of the stallion's hooves, at the deafening roar of the chariot's wheels, parents abandon children, so paralyzed are they with fear. For the time is coming for the Philistines' destruction, for cutting off from Tyre and Sidon anyone who might try to save Gaza. Because the Lord will destroy the Philistines, the few left from the island of Caphtor. Mourning will come upon Gaza, silence will cover Askelon, the few left in their valley. How long will you gash yourselves in grief? You sword of the Lord, how long until you are silent? Return to your sheath, rest and be still. How can you be silent when the Lord has directed you to attack Ashkelon and the coastline? Prophecy against Moab. Concerning Moab, the Lord of heavenly forces, the God of Israel, proclaims, "How awful for Nebo, it lies in ruins. Kiriathaim is captured and shamed. The fortress is disgraced, reduced to rubble. No one sings Moab's praise any longer. In Heshbon, they are hatching a plot against her. Come, let's bring down that nation. You too, madmen, will be silenced. The sword will pursue you. Listen to the cries for help from Horonaim. Destruction and massive devastation. Moab is shattered, its young cry for help. On the way up to Luith, there is uncontrollable weeping. On the way down to Horonaim, they hear sobs of anguish. Run for your lives. Be like Aurora in the desert, because you have relied on your own strength and treasures. You will also be captured. Shemosh will go into exile, together with his priests and officials. The destroyer will sweep through every town. No town will escape. The valleys will be ravaged. The plateaus will be destroyed, because the Lord has declared it so. Give wings to Moab, and it would fly away, because its towns lie in ruins, with no one left in them. Cursed is the one who is half-hearted in doing the Lord's work. Cursed is the one who restrains the sword from bloodshed. From early on, Moab has been at ease, like wine left to settle on its sediment. It hasn't been poured into jars. nor has Moab been taken into exile. Therefore, its taste is still pleasant, and its aroma is the same. But the time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will send him someone to spill it, to pour out his wine and to smash his jars. And Moab will be put to shame on account of Chemosh, just as the people of Israel were put to shame on account of Bethel, in which they trusted. How can you claim, we're soldiers, we're war heroes? Moab is doomed. Its towns will surrender. Its elite forces will go down in defeat, declares the King, whose name is the Lord of heavenly forces. Moab's destruction is near. Its downfall approaches rapidly. Grieve for this nation, you neighbors of Moab, all you who know his name. Proclaim how its mighty scepter and magnificent staff are shattered. Come down from your lofty place and sit in the dust, you inhabitants of daughter Dibon, because Moab's destroyer has arrived to level your fortresses. Stand by the roads and watch, you inhabitants of Ur. Ask the men who flee and the women who run off, what happened? Moab is shamed and shocked. Weep and wail. Tell it by the Arnon River, Moab's been destroyed. Judgment has come to the towns of the plateau, to Holon, Jaza, and Methoth, to Dibon, Nebo, and Beth Diblathaim, to Kiriathaim, Beth Gamol, and Beth Mion, Kirioth, and Bozrah, to all the towns of Moab, far and near. Moab's horn is cut off, its arm is broken, declares the Lord. Get Moab drunk, because it has exalted itself above the Lord. Moab will collapse in its vomit and become the butt of every joke. Wasn't Israel the butt of your jokes? Didn't you shake your head as if they were thieves caught in the act? Leave your towns, head for the cliffs, you people of Moab. Hide like a dove that nests in the mouth of a cave. We have heard of Moab's pride, arrogant, puffed up, exalted, high and mighty, boastful. I myself know about its arrogance, declares the Lord, the idle talk, the empty deeds. But I'll still wail for Moab. I'll cry out for all Moab. I'll sob for the people of Kir Heres. I'll weep for you, vine of Sibmah, more than I would for Jazer. Though your branches extended to the sea and reached to the coast of Jazer, now the destroyer has come to harvest your grapes and summer fruits. Joy and gladness have been taken from the orchards and farms of Moab. I have stopped making wine in the presses. No one shouts with joy while treading the grapes. Though there are shouts, there are not shouts of joy. Screams are heard from Heshbon to Eliah and Jahaz. Their cries resound from Zor to Horonaim and Eglath Shilishah. Even the waters of Nimrim are dried up. I'll put an end to Moab, declares the Lord, for making offerings on the shrines and worshipping their gods. Therefore, my heart wails for Moab, like a mournful flute that plays the dirge. My heart wails for the people of Kir Heres, like a mournful flute. Their abundance is now gone. Every head is shaved, every beard is cut off, every hand is slashed, and everyone wears mourning clothes. On every housetop of Moab and in all its streets, there is nothing but mourning. I have shattered Moab like a pottery vessel no one wants, declares the Lord. How it's shattered! Go wail! How Moab turns away! What shame! Moab has become the butt of every joke, horrific to all its neighbors. The Lord proclaims, look, one who soars like an eagle and spreads its wings over Moab. The towns will be captured, the strongholds will be seized. On that day, the heart of every soldier from Moab will be like that of a woman in the throes of labor. Moab will be destroyed once and for all, because it has exalted itself above the Lord. Terror, traps, and trackers are upon you, people of Moab, declares the Lord. Those who flee from terror will fall into a pit. Those who escape the pit will be captured by the trap. I will bring upon Moab the year of its punishment, declares the Lord. In Heshbon, tired refugees seek shelter, but fire is raging in Heshbon, flames from the house of Sion. It has burnt up parts of Moab, including the leader of its rebellious nation. How terrible for you, Moab! The people of Chemosh have perished. Your sons have been carried off. Your daughters have been taken captive. But in the days to come, I'll bring back Moab from captivity, declares the Lord. Such is the judgment on Moab.